A massive issue nowadays is overthinkers struggling to socialize. By the end of this video, you'll have tangibly improved your social life and know how to continue doing that after this video. And I mean it, yes, tangibly improved by the end of the video. The deal with me, by the way, is that I was a massive overthinker. I did have obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. I'm much different now. The first thing to understand is why you overthink. And the answer to that requires us to know what you overthink about. Let's say if you clicked on this video, one thing you overthink about is whether you will be awkward, say something weird, or will make people uncomfortable in social interactions. So why do you worry about that? Three things. One, could be just genetics. You just have anxiety. Two, you need approval from others because you aren't self-assured. And number three, you need approval from others because you aren't self-assured. Why did I repeat that? Because while I understand that overthinking makes it harder to engage in social interactions, it is nerve-wracking, and you overthink about what you say, and then you overthink about what you said thereafter. If you were self-assured, you wouldn't need to worry about how the interaction goes. Now, what does it actually mean to be self-assured? It means you have evidence-backed confidence in yourself that says you are worthy or says you are the person that you say you are. You've not done the physical things required to get to the point where you can look in the mirror and be proud of the person that you see. But that begs the question, who would you need to be proud of the person you see and therefore be self-assured in your value as a person, to therefore be confident, to therefore have minimal issue with social interactions and no longer worry too much about what you're going to say and do? Who would you need to be? The answer is someone you respect. That means figuring out who is the most respected person that you would have. Brainstorm the problems that you would need to overcome in order to become that person, and then just work on overcoming those problems by writing. I'm going to very quickly outline something called the WE method, write, experiment method. Listen to this. 1, figure out what your most desirable possible life would be. Figure out why that life is valuable to you to determine what your values are as a person. And then look at what kind of person would live this life that you want to live. What are their characteristics and behaviors and traits that they uphold? Are they accountable? Are they honest? Etc. And we can put this into one lot. So now that you've figured out who you want to be, who is that person, that version of yourself you would respect most, you are then brainstorming, what are all the problems I would need to overcome in order to become that person? Or if it's easier for you, looking at what would they have overcome in order to become that great person, whatever that means to you. You will then go on a writing application like Notion, Google Docs, or what I use, Cortex. I'll link it in the description. At that point, if you go into Cortex, which I've attached something to the screen, you will write a how-to article on each one of the problems you want to solve. You will now do as follows. You will brain dump everything that you possibly can. Just let your fingers go to work. Or if you're on a phone, type, go to work. Even if you're writing chicken fuck, just write the words and keep going. And then you'll eventually come up with things that almost or are solutions to that problem. At that point, you will research and add your findings, perspectives from the internet, data, and put it into that brain dump. And you will construct this into almost like a blog post. Now, if you want more detail on this method, there is a link in the description. I would recommend you go and check it out. It is exactly how to do this to become someone that you respect and to therefore become someone who is self-assured and who can say what they want in a social interaction and not really overthink about it, neither before you say it or after you say it. And that means you have more social freedom. Try not to be passive. Click the link. This is not for me, this is for you. Now, with your brain dump, or if you had decided to do research as well and constructed almost a blog post, you will now follow this as if you are a consumer of online information. That is where experiment comes in. If I write how to overcome social anxiety and start brain dumping or researching, I come across exposure therapy, or usually I'll come up with something like I'll go talk to some more people at uni that I've not spoken to before. And you will actually experiment. Now, not only is this going to help you figure out how to solve these problems and become someone you respect more, who has more track record of evidence to say that, wow, I am that guy. You know, I'm the kind of person, I'm the kind of man, woman, person who can say what they want in a social interaction and not worry about the outcome. And that's where the amplification principle comes in. Now that you also know who it is that you would respect, that version of yourself that you would really ideally want to be at some point in the future, you are going to identify when you are that person. For example, right now, it's true that I want to be the kind of man who is calm, who can adapt, and who lives a minimalistic life and who is organized. I sit here with this stack of books, this computer, these two things fairly symmetrical next to my head, and I've actually got a coffee over here. Simple setup. My shoulders are back, and I can say I'm the kind of man who is organized, lives simply, does not need much, who enjoys the simple things in life like coffee, and who presents himself well. That all sounds really great, but you can see how I've manipulated that. But my brain sees it as true, because it is true. You have control over this. And so any chance you get, you say, I'm the kind of man, for example, who X, Y, Z. And what you're looking to do is you're looking to identify, even if it's a stretch, how you embody the traits, the behaviors, the values of that person that you respect the most. Even if you're still not developed, you can say, well, I haven't made any progress yet, but I'm the kind of man who values socializing. And that's where your first tangible step forward comes in now. Ask yourself, do I value connection with people? If your answer is yes, repeat after me. Genuinely would recommend it. Say the following. I'm the kind of man, woman, person who values people, and I like to share life and conversation with others. If you don't like those words, say a different sentence that does the same thing. You get my point. But I do need to stress the importance of this. What I'm telling you is a strange answer compared to the title that you clicked on. There is a reason for that. The answer is not in short-term tips to improve conversation or to reduce overthinking. If you really want an impact, a dent in your reality, different to what it's been like for so many years, you need to look at more long-term solutions. But this isn't even that long-term. You do this amplification where, by the way, what I was doing was I amplified the meaning of things to make it sound really good. And I would then say, I'm the kind of man who X, and it's amplified, but is still true nevertheless. And you can see you are associating with the kind of person you want to be, but I think you understand. You can actually make incredibly fast progress with this, even within 30 days, actually within 1 day, because if you just followed my instructions and said, I'm the kind of man who X, Y, Z values connection. So you're not saying you've achieved anything, you're just saying you value connection and conversation with people because you're watching this video. and because you want to do something. That is actually a step forward. You are feeding that person that you want to be. So you know, every time I do this, I'm making progress. So from day one, you're ahead. That's why we've got the Peaky People, a community I've got, paid, mind you, down in the description for becoming someone you are proud of in 30 days as an overthinker. It's there if you want. But you might ask, Riley, how does this actually relate to my social life again? Remember, you are struggling with socializing because you are in your head. So you will either not want to say certain things, you will not know what to say, or you will really overthink what you said to people after you've left the interaction. You would not care about that if you were self-assured. If you were like, I know who I am, I have got evidence to suggest that I am valuable. And what does valuable mean? It means someone that you respect. And at that point, you know your worth. And as time goes on, you'll realize just how valuable that is and how many issues in life that can really help. And you can say, Riley, what if being self-assured doesn't help my social interactions totally? What if I still have some issues? Then what? I would say you're having one of the following experiences. 1, you're having expectations of the social interaction. You are expecting it to go a certain way, and if it doesn't, you are then disappointed or you judge yourself for it. 2, you are not interacting with the people that you vibe with. You are in the wrong environment. 3, you are forcing conversation when there is no need for it. You are not comfortable with silence. You need to feel like you're contributing. If there is silence, you think you are being awkward and that you should say something. You are, in that case, also forcing smiles. Maybe trying to get along with someone when they're really not your person. And I'm not going to get into this too much. I don't want this video to be excessively long. But when you know yourself, or when you're on the path to becoming that person that you respect, you end up meeting people who have similar values. You become more in tune with what you put value on, like honesty, accountability, etc. Those are 2 of mine. And you meet others like that who are more your vibe, and you will then get along more with them. Remember, the right experiment, the WE method, and the amplification principle are outlined in the template I've linked in the description. Go grab it. One more thing is that you may not have interesting things to talk about. Since I've spoken about writing almost a blog post, I don't know about you, but when you start to make progress in life towards something or someone meaningful, you end up becoming more interested in self-growth as a whole. Why does that matter? Because you start looking to learn. You might actually start researching out of like real joy. You really want to learn about how things work. You start observing things that people are doing, trying to learn something. And you actually become a more educated person. And you have more interesting things to say. In fact, you might even have a conversation. Instead of saying, I'm good, when asked, how are you? You might respond with what you've been doing physically. And you can say, oh, yeah, I've just been doing research on social anxiety and how to address it and some statistics on it. That's what I've been looking at. What about you? And you go and make something more interesting out of what would have just been a shitty or boring, hello, how are you, I'm good, conversation. Now, to address these 4 things, let's start with you having expectations. Yes or no, does being disappointed in yourself make you happy? No. And the life that we live, it's complex. We say things should have gone a certain way. But what does that mean? We do what we choose to do, and we are doing our best. Yes, you can continue to focus on doing better, but it doesn't work. If you just accepted that you can say words, and if it doesn't have the intended outcome, I guess it doesn't have the intended outcome. It is what it is, right? All you can do is then go back and just say, okay, well, let's just make sure I'm living to these values and to this person I respect as much as I can. Am I? Yes? Then I guess things will go as they will. You cannot predict how everything will go. So you having expectations is not helpful. You have a standard. This person is your standard that you personally want to live up to. That's all you can do. Expectations help no one. As for forcing conversations, we already spoke about how the WE method and some of the other things we've spoken about, like the amplification principle and the writing, can put you on a path to meet people who are more your vibe. Just understand the power of environment. No need to force conversation with people who aren't your people, because our time, our energy is limited. Understand the value of it. Also become comfortable with silence. That is a skill. Understand the value of it. If you want to become someone you are proud of in 30 days, as an overthinker specifically, join the Peaky People. Community, paid, in description. This is how shit really is. This is how you actually make changes in your life. You have already made a tangible change in this video via what I guided you through before, saying what you value based on the action you've taken to watch a video and to fix or address a problem in your life. I am the kind of man who values connection and sharing life with others. Feed the person you would respect.